Hi, my name is Megan, and this is a Naughty Mess Knitting podcast. Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 28. We are mid-February here of 2024 and kicking off a regular podcast episode. So if you're new here, this is a knitting diary of sorts. I do a couple of other crafts. I have not done much besides knitting and spinning recently. But I will follow the regular agenda of what I'm wearing, finished objects for the week, which this happens to be one of them also, whips, projects I'm dreaming of, acquisitions, fiber, and books. So I don't really have big topics to talk about this week, but that's fine. We don't need a big discussion, although I maybe have a couple of things I'd like to share. So let's get into it. Today I have two whips, or two FOs, one of which I'm wearing. I guess three, because let's count the fiber in there. That's fun. And you know what I did today is I got ready a little early. It was supposed to rain, and it didn't actually end up doing much more than sprinkling, but there was like sunshine, and even though pictures are great and overcast, it's been like too cold and raining all the time. I am north of Seattle. It does rain here during the fall and winter and spring, all of those seasons. Anyway, so I figured I would take the day to actually take some pictures. So I got pictures. My phone is hilarious right now. There's just like 100 pictures of me in several different outfits. And I got like halfway through the photo shoot, I like moved to a different place in my yard because right now there's just like a dead bush where I've like we have raspberry bushes and daisies, and I was taking like my summer pictures in front of those because it's like very green behind me. We have a bunch of fence, but I didn't want to be too far away, so I went like closer to a fence. Anyway, I did pictures in a couple of different tops and like one with my cinnabar, and then I realized I like was looking at them in more of the shade, and I realized I had lipstick on my teeth, so I had to like just retake them. And then I moved because I was also getting like really squinty eyes because there was actual sun out, and A, I don't know how to deal with that right now, and B, I didn't like want the weird shadow, so I was like kind of looking into it anyway. So there's a lot of pictures because I did basically 2 full photo shoots of myself. But it's just me and the tripod in the backyard, and I could take as much time as I needed to. I did it during baby's first nap of the day, and it was fine. I was like just outside taking pictures her whole nap. It was a little bit chilly in this t-shirt, but you know, you got to get it done. Otherwise, like, they'll sit, I'll never take them, then I'll feel like I need to wash it before I take, it's just like a whole thing. Now I have them. Also, I wanted a picture in this because I found it very challenging to show you guys like what I look like. And I was like, you know what? There are other podcasters that do this. So like Leslie from Knit California just puts a picture up of her and the finished object while she's talking about it, which is what I'm going to do this week. Cause like, that's a great idea. Duh. I just don't always take pictures beforehand, and I did. So, let's talk about it. This is my finished Ballerina Wrap top. I bet you didn't see that one coming. I did not actually. I did not think I was going to finish it this week. I had a goal to just like get the body completed with the I-cords, and I just couldn't put it down. Also, I figured these sleeves would be pretty small, and I didn't have that much yarn left over, so I kind of wanted, like, I wasn't going to get anxious amongst my knitting group since we all have a top this color. There is more yarn. So if like I really needed yarn, I could probably, I think there's even Rocky's DK like floating out there. But I just wanted to get it done. I just felt like it then. So, let's talk about the details of it first, and then I'll stand up and, I will show you the picture while I'm talking about the details. How about that? So this is the Ballerina Wrap top by Alexis who is 2 of Wands. And I love it. I actually really do. I do have a couple of comments to talk about for the fit. But let me pull up the notes. So Okay, so I made a size extra large, which is 44 inches. It's supposed to have 2 inches of negative ease. That's a little bit more than that on me, over the fullest part of your bust, but also I want to talk about that. I used 4.5mm needles, which I think is one size bigger. I think 4 is the recommended. I knit this in Explore Knits and Fibers, Rocky's DK in the color Pike Place, which is 100% superwash merino, 274 yards for 100 grams, and it is an S on S twisted yarn. Somebody made a comment, and actually this is what it is. This is even more specifically. These are Z twisted singles that are S twisted together, and then 4 of those very, very thin single or 2 plies are made into this 4 ply. So it's really an 8 ply yarn, but because it's S on S from a Z single, you're still getting an unbalanced yarn. This is what it is. I think at some point, like, you just have to make that decision, right? Like if you're gonna do three turns, it's gonna be something. Okay, so that's what we're working with. It is I did several modifications. I guess we should talk about those. Okay, so modifications. I changed the increases. So once you hit about here, there's a point where you start doing cast on one side, knit across, and then when you turn the purl side, you do a two stitch cast on, and then it becomes a 3 stitch cast on, and then so it really flares this more. My waist is about it's like almost 8 inches smaller than my bust, which is significant. And I knew I would not want, like, I'm not straight, so I didn't want too much fabric. That is a note I saw from some people, is that when you actually cinch it tied, there was like through the hole, there's a hole on this side, which I'll show you in a second, that would, like, the fabric would be pulled through from the thing. I didn't want that. So I was like, I'll just make that a little bit narrower, and I think it'll be fine. It looks fine. The other modification, it was only like 6 rows. You know, this is a raglan style, so you already kind of get a cap with that when you're knitting, and then it was just 6 more rows, so it would have been like a little baby sleeve here, like little tiny baby sleeve, actually, like really short. You know, that's not my game, and also I just want to use as much yarn as possible. I have almost 5 grams left, so I really did work. That it was good. I ended up not doing 2 at a time just because of the way the needles were. Yeah, and I didn't split my ball, so I just like I weighed it, I knit, and I waited a couple more times throughout, and I was just like trying to get really close to the halfway mark. It worked out great. So 5 grams left, which is not very many yards of this. And like I could have added like 1 extra row, but I tried it on, and like where it was sitting, it was pretty good. And I didn't want to, like, there becomes an awkward point of elbow, right? So it was fine. I did do all of the bind offs though first before I got there. And what I did do, and I don't know if I like this as much as I thought I would, but I did do the I-cord on the purl side. And I did that because, like, it's in theory, doing it the other way, you're like maybe not going to get quite as much of the curl. It is still curling a little bit, but it's not so bad. When I blocked it, it was like, it blocked pretty well. The bottom definitely blocked pretty nicely. And then I'm going to talk about how I did the I-cord after I show you this, because I have some thoughts about that I-cord maker, which are positive. I freaking loved it. Okay. Let me pull myself together. Okay, so you saw this on in the pictures, and actually when I sit back down, I'll show you a picture that shows a little bit more of the side. But what you can see here, so the way that this wrap happens, because you do set your hole on one side, right? Here's my hole on this side. You can see there's a tiny bit of fabric. Imagine if there was more though. It'd be like way out here. Okay, because I'm almost like 20 stitches short or something. Anyway, I'm wearing a tank top under this because it's very V-neck like. Also, I would probably like pin this if I weren't wearing a tank top underneath. I'm comfortable with this, so that's fine. Okay, so you wrap the left side under. It goes through this little baby hole here. That long I-cord, and they're both real long, and I can show you this in a second, goes all the way around to make the tie. And then this I-cord on this side that's connected just goes over top of the back also and wraps. What I do think that is kind of awkward, and like I noticed this while I was taking pictures, is that like even if I pull this down a little bit, it's hard for it to stay even. Like it doesn't, and I know like wrap tops are kind of like that, but like I think it depends on like where your chest sits and stuff, if this is necessarily like the right distance down for my like V to start, for, you know, if it's like pulled over on top. Like honestly, I would just pin in here somehow, maybe even to a tank top so it just doesn't move around, and like probably be more comfortable if I was like wearing this out about in life. Okay. Sleeve wise, I did also the I-cord inside out, so it's not as much, you know, it's not rolled up as much. It pulls it down a little bit. I actually think that's sitting really nicely. You can see here, if we look closely, all of those stitches. You know, blocking wise, I think the fabric looks pretty even, but it definitely still has that pull to the side. Yeah, I mean, you can also see from blocking, I have this like this line get like, how do you, I mean, I couldn't fan this out all the way. Also, that's awkward for like this part of it. So I like laid it over top and had like a triple layer to block. And so there just, I had one of like the pins right in the middle. I have those like long with like 6 pins in them. Anyway. Okay, I'm going to untie this for a second just because I want you guys to check out this I-cord. The I-cord from one side. So this is my outside side. Also, I'm wearing a tank top, so I don't really care right now. Okay, look. This is a long I-cord. It's like 54 inches long. There's a nice, the bow is really cute and quite big. You probably could do less and like get away with a smaller bow, but like, I don't hate it. I could also, yeah, I don't hate it. It just looks nice. Okay. Apparently I forgot to cut one little end. Usually I'm pretty good at that. Okay, here. Let's look at it though. This is a 3-stitch I-cord. That's the other thing I changed, is that the pattern calls for a 4-stitch I-cord. And I was like, my I-cord maker makes a 3-stitch I-cord. Obviously that's what I'm going to do. Let me spin this back around. And then a little knot. So yeah, overall, I mean, again, when I stand up, you can just really see my chest, but, it's really cute. This just sits on top. You can tie this wherever you want. Like, I think it depends on like how tight I'm feeling at the moment. I kind of like it tied like right to the side at the I-cord, but like, yeah, I can have this nice long, and these tails are still long. Like, I don't know if that would bother me. Maybe if it was, I don't know. I don't think it would. It looks cute. Okay, this color also, it's saturated enough that I don't really dislike it, and it's just red enough that I also don't really dislike it, but it is also super orange, and orange is not the greatest color on me, but I'm liking it. I think I would definitely like wear this. This is like, I told Mike this is like a date night shirt because I like feel it's very feminine and I feel very cute in it. So maybe I do think that I love wrap tops, by the way. As a general rule, like wrap dresses are my favorite style of dress. I like that like little flare. I like the customizability of it, to be able to like pull a little tighter one day, and then if you're bloaty, you know, you can handle that. I just think like with this top, just the style of how it is and where everything sits, like I feel like I would probably pin it. And if I pinned it, that would probably alleviate like some of the, just because it's pretty open. Like I think it'll just move around. Like, I mean, we'll see today. This is the first time like wearing it for a while. I did wear it for pictures and that was fun. So, here it is. I actually just got, my mom picked me up a couple of, tank tops. She went to shopping today, and I have like mostly this kind of like tank top, this like camisole kind of tank top. And for like cardigans and stuff, I've really been craving, also being like influenced again. There are a couple of people that I've seen like post pictures where they have those like higher neck tank tops with cardigans, and I really like that. Then you don't have to wear a full t-shirt or anything like that, and you don't have like your sleeves, or you won't get too hot, but you get like a little bit higher neck coverage. It's nice for work because I'm not going to wear, this is like a lot of chest to have out at work. For you guys, here you go. I'm okay with it. But yeah, I tried it on with this. I don't know if like, just because of the neckline of like where this pulls, I don't know if I love it as much with this. But it's a thought. It's a possibility. Okay. So here we go. I made a thing. This is my first t-shirt finish of the year, and also in my knitwear tracker, because I did put it down that I was wearing this for the podcast episode, it is my first t-shirt wear of the year, so that's kind of fun. We're like, you know, however many days in. Okay, so that's finished object 1. I thoroughly would recommend doing this if you like the wrap top style where you actually tie it. I think there's a couple of other really flattering pseudo wrap tops, or like ones that have like ribbing at the bottom and the wrap is a smaller amount of wrap. More like they're called like surplice, I think, is like the style where it's a wrap top, but maybe there's ties on both sides, so you don't have as much of like the cord wrapping. Anyway, I've seen a couple of those. Like I just was looking at patterns that were also really cute and very feminine, and like kind of like, you know, this is called the Ballerina Wrap top, like something that you imagine like more commercially is like for dancers. Anyway, but I think, you know, it's a free pattern. I think with my modifications, it works well for me. Is it the best fitting garment I have? Like, no, but also I don't really expect it to be. It's a cute style. I think I will really like it in the summertime, especially like having your neck out in the summer is nice because it's like something that keeps you cool. And then it won't feel weird about like getting sweaty in this. Anyway, so what else did I do this week? Oh gosh, so much. So I have another finished object, and that is Mike's stick season. It's done. It's kind of wrinkly. I just blocked it, but I also like then just tossed it around. How cute is it? It is a good color. It's a good color on him. He's blonde, but like, he's gonna look like a babe in this. Okay. I'll give you details. But let me flip it around so you can see the back, because that's where that like really pretty ribbed line is. And it does sit on the back, not right on the shoulder. That's where it's supposed to sit. It looks really good on him. It kind of like conforms right to the back of his, you know, shoulder curve. I did not try it on him with the finished ribbing. I tried it on him with the finished added length to the body. I added about 2.5 inches to the body, and then the ribbing, done with the miraculous yarn gifted to me by Sarah. Thank you, Sarah, who responded to my Ravelry message that she had some in stash that was not for sale, and we had the same lot number, and I asked her if I could buy some from her, and she gifted it to me, and that's so sweet. And like the color match is, I mean, you can't tell. Can you tell? I can't tell. And yeah, so I'm super excited to have this, and it is done, and it is my first gift knit of the year. Yes. I was gonna say, is that true? It is. One of 4 sweaters I'm committed to making this year for family members. And so just a week after husband's birthday, and it's done, and that's nice. And not that it was a birthday present, but yeah. And the size on that one. So, and let's talk about that pattern too. I talked about this pattern. Also, like, I can't really say much about a blog pattern. Like, it's on a blog. It's set up fine. I mean, there's not really anything that's hard to understand for this. I do think, like, the increases are... And the comment also about this for the increases on the cast on side is that for some people, even with the I-cord maker, like with the I-cord finishing, it's still like, it looks a little sloppy. Like you could see more holes in it. And so that's why I chose not to add them. Another reason. But otherwise it's like a very simple raglan cardigan where you're just adding increases on the, you know, neck side on both sides. Okay. So the stick season though is a size 44.5 inch bust. Recommended ease is 2 to 6 inches. And for him, that's like, I don't know, 4 or 5. 3.5, I used 3.5 millimeter needles for the sticks, 3.75 for the rest of the body, 3.25 for the ribbing. It is made with a woolly knit merino cone in Pinot Green, which is 100% merino, non-superwash, 257 yards for 100 grams when held double, like 514 when not. It's a light fingering. Okay, here's some thoughts about the pattern. I shared last week about Rebecca putting out, Stick Season by Rebecca Clow, the Crebe. I don't know if I said that, but I said last week some opinions about her, like, you know, putting out more information about making this for men. As a general pattern, I think this one is, you know, she has several different construction styles. She's not only putting out raglans or drop shoulders, or like, I think some designers, like, that's the look they really like, and they put different textures and maybe different finishings, but it's like, they'll just have tons of drop shoulder patterns. I think Rebecca, she's only been designing for like 18 months, has put out a lot of types of, she's like me. Like, I think she like wants to, well, although I'm not designing, but like in the design world, she wants to like conquer new shapes, new styles, new methods, and give those, you know, in whatever fits her vision. And I think that's really fun. So I made the Leith cardigan, which was a super simple drop shoulder cardigan. And those instructions were relatively, I would call them sparse. Plenty to get it done, but if you're a brand new knitter, maybe a little bit less instruction than you might need, or guidance. This one, however, because of the shaping, the pattern is just more robust. Like, it just has to be for shaping of, she's very intentional in all sizes having like similar drape quality. So if you know, if you use the 2 to 6 inches of ease, granted, if you change that, if you want less ease or way more, then obviously it's not going to fit you the same. But the intention is that if you are a 30 or a 50 bust and you're making the right size that corresponds to the amount of ease for you, you know, you're within the window, the things like where the shoulder line hits you, where the back part hits you, where the end of the sticks hit you, should be the same-ish across the sizes. Now, obviously the sticks are going to change where they hit you based on how much bust you have. A flat-chested 30-inch circumference person and a, you know, very heavy-chested 34-inch person are going to have a really different fit, right? Like, if, you know, even those two people that are relatively close in size, like, it's going to fit you really differently. So, I mean, I think obviously you have to take that into account. Also, like, for the men, there's, you know, in theory, not as much you know, breast tissue, but there is definitely like more shoulder. So I think for Mike, I didn't necessarily like pick a size that would give him quite as much. Like, I think on Rebecca, her sticks, like her little like shoulder line fits a little bit like off her shoulder, but like on her picture, the picture of it on her stepdad fits closer to on his shoulder. For Mike, because he's broader shouldered, smaller waisted, it just really fits him like right here. So I think that fit is nice. I think the instructions have like slightly more guiding points again than the Leith. Like, there's a little bit more because the design feature is not so straightforward as knit from the bottom up and front, back, and seam together, right? That's how the Leith is. That's how easy it is. Because you have to pick up along the edge, and then you have to like how you do your armholes. And I mean, I thought that a lot of it was like pretty good. I mean, there was nothing in there that I thought was like very confusing. But it definitely has a little bit more, a more pattern than the Leith. I think her flow of patterns is easy to understand, and the way that she like calls out for shapes in this one, I found like very easy to follow. I also am very conscious, because I tested so much, about when I get a pattern, because I use them in books on my phone or my iPad. I go through on one of those devices and I circle every, you know, number that's expected. I cross out sections that I don't need to pay attention to, so I just like can move more quickly through the pattern. I'm not like trying to find where I was. When I'm doing the pattern, I also cross off the areas I was. That's just because I'm very conscious of like, for when I'm like first, and I do it right as soon as I start a pattern. Usually I do the whole thing, because that's a tester thing too, because I would like go through and make sure like numbers made sense throughout, like a section wasn't missing for a size, like for my size. It's an ingrained habit now. And then I share it to whatever other device I was not on. So they're both in the same thing. So I can flip between, which makes it easier. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I would totally recommend it. Again, I don't think I'd make it for me as a women's pattern because I don't really like where the guarantee style, the sticks on top sit on a woman's chest. Just like seeing testers and stuff, like it's just not really for me, which is fine. Rebecca made a stickless pattern, like just or a stickless sample for herself, and I love that detail of like the shoulder line and stuff, so I'm tempted to do that. And if I did it though, I think I would do it in a fingering and a mohair held because I think that drape would be so nice. This yarn definitely gives more structure, just like, and I think the texture looks amazing in this yarn, but it definitely has more structure, and it's not rigid, but the drape, it's not, you know, it's not as drapey as something that's super wash. Some notes on this too is that for the merino cones, so they are non-superwash, which makes them a little sticky. I cannot get all the dog hair out of here. Also, like, dog hair is always woven into the things that I knit, but usually in superwash I can just kind of like shake it a little bit, or like when it's washed, a lot of them come out. Like, not so. I was just like picking yarn or picking dog hair out of this, and I was like, well, this is his life. But yeah, like, and yesterday, maybe I'll put the picture up if you can really see it. I don't know if you could really see it, but I took a picture of the very bottom of the body. So where I added like here, there was like a very clear line because I had blocked this before I got the yarn, like while I was waiting for the yarn to also see if the body grew at all, you know, how much I really have to add. It did not, spoiler alert, really grow at all. But the wash really helps even out the stitches, and like it just like help them bloom a little bit, I think. So like the line, it looked different. Like the fabric looked markedly different between, you know, where it was blocked and where it was unblocked. And yeah, of course that happens with other things too, but I think this is more than anything I had seen before. Working with the cone was not 100% easy. There is not a real way that I could figure out that you can like pull from both ends, because like obviously one is right on the cardboard and one is outside on the top. So what I ended up doing is I have a winder, a ball winder, which, by the way, I got a new ball winder not that long ago. I got the Stanwood one, the 7-ounce ball, I think. It's like the middle size. I freaking love it. I had a Knit Picks one for a while. I had 2 Knit Picks one, and I killed both of them. I wind too fast. I'm not conscious of like if the yarn is completely, you know, like if it gets a little tangled, I'm like moving too fast and sort of jerks it. Anyway, like the gear is misaligned. So this one I love, but I just put this on the floor and I wound so that it was for the drape too, so that the cone, you know, the yarn could come off the cone easily. And I wound off 2 balls so that I could knit from the cone and the ball, just like the ball itself. I didn't want it to be too big, so I had 2 of them because I knew I would need at least that much. I think I ended up taking another split at some point, but that did make it like a little bit annoying, but also you have to wind yarn normally. So like I was just guesswork. I couldn't tell exactly how much I was getting off while I was winding, right? When I'm knitting my Calm Down cardigan, which we'll talk about in a second, I also have to like be sort of conscious about the cones. Like it doesn't pull off as easily as the outside of a wound, it's not a ball, skein, but yeah. That's what I have to say about that. So those are my 2 finished knits, and now I have a very fun, I've been sort of teasing this. I showed you one of these, and I couldn't tell you which one. One of these on the bobbin still, but I finished my lavender latte spin. Look how pretty. Do you see the dog hair on there? Yeah, me too. I'm telling you, I just can't, like, I can't walk through my house. There's dog hair. It's gorgeous. It's so fun. Here is my other one. And this one is obviously, you know, I didn't put it in a little hank yet, but I can. But like, they're 2 braids of the same yarn. So they're looking pretty the same. This is Rambouillet. It is, I think this is like a really light fingering That's what I'm going to call it. I counted the loops. They were like, one of them is a little bit thicker than the other because I had a tiny bit left over from one of them and I wound it with the other. Anyway, it's like 520 yards or something. So a light fingering. It's bouncy though. Like, look at that stretch. It is, you can see the ply is like not really even, but I did try to do a looser ply, which is what got me some more distance here also. It is also pretty loosely spun. It feels so soft. Like, this is incredible. I don't know what I want to do with it. I almost like, it's so nice. Oh my gosh, it's so soft. I kind of want to make like a tank top with it, and I might just hold it double, and that would get me like, you know, a lighter DK. I don't know. That would be kind of fun. I don't have plans yet. Clearly. Hold on. I love to put these into hanks though, because like they just, then it looks like real yarn. Not, I mean real yarn. It looks like official yarn to me. And like, but yeah, it just makes them like look so tidy and fun. It's so cute. There's definitely like the golden in here. I think it looked really like almost brown in the splotches, like a latte color. But I think, you know, when you pull less of it and it's got like, some whites behind it, it looks a little bit more golden. This is, the light is like pretty true to color. It's making it look a little bit, that's pretty good actually. I'm excited. I think I could get a tank top out of this. That's like 2 skeins of DK. If I hold it double. If I hold it single, I mean, I could get like a crop top out of it, maybe a t-shirt, but it's, because it's so loosely plied, like I think I'd feel better if I just knit them together. I'll look at some patterns and see, but I kind of want to knit with this pretty soon. I really like it. Okay, good. I'm glad I like the things I'm making. That's a positive. Okay, let's talk through whips. So I'm going to go least exciting to most exciting. I mean, okay, so here's, you know, I'm trying to keep 5 whips. This is not a hard rule, no hard and fast, but it actually is really working for me. I feel like I'm finishing things in a timely manner, and I also just feel like I get enough time to work on everything during the week, and I'm not having to like put it, you know, when I have 7 whips, I want to work on 3 each night, and then I don't get like anything done. So I'm really like kind of designating one main project tonight, and maybe I'll pick up a little bit of another one. Last night is a night where I did a couple. I did some rows on this. I did take this to knit night, but knit night was not really knit night. We had Galentine's this week because it was Galentine's. It was on February 13th. And we had a bunch of other friends. Charlotte set up a thing for us to do make your own bouquet, like flower arrangement, and it was very fun, and we got to meet some new people, and also all of these girls had some very good book recommendations and book thoughts, and so I smell a book club coming on, a real live person one, which I haven't had in a long time. I tried to do one with some college friends, but like time differences make it really hard. But anyway, anywho, here is my Calm Down cardigan. And yes, you're right, it looks nearly the same as last week, but I did add quite a few rows. Where is my tracker? I was over here, and so I don't know, almost 20 something rows. And I want it to be done to the short rows, but I have like 10 more rows before I get to the short rows. That's not a lot. Like, this is not a lot of body, because again, people, let's just put it on so we can see. These armholes are look at that. Look at that armhole. So like, yeah, I'm going to be down to, you know, 10 more rows will get me almost to where this is, which is a little bit cropped. And then you have the short rows and then the hem, right? So this is going to sit totally fine on me. And again, I am making a size smaller than recommended per the ease, but I think is a good size for me. I just threw this on without a care that I don't have stitch stoppers on here, but okay. So that's my Calm Down cardigan. This is a pattern by Lily Kate France. Her Instagram is Lily Kate Makes. It is a saddle shoulder construction. I say that, and I like realize I probably have people of all knit experience on here. Saddle shoulder, in case you like are wondering about the construction for this and you haven't been here, you really just create this little horizontal, we'll call this horizontal patch that is on hold then and will go down your sleeve. So there's a sleeve detail. So if you guys saw my Skyline make this fall when I did a test for Tori U, similar, very similar look. And then you make your one side and then the back, and then the same thing happens on the other side, and that's the saddle. So it's not really any more interesting than that, but the construction is different. I mean, it's a different look. Like drop shoulders, you would just seam them together, but you'd also typically have more, you know, arm that's happening. This is going to have like set in sleeves, although because it's so drapey, they'll still sit off your shoulder a little. For me, not so much because I don't have as much ease in here. Again, that changes the look. One of the things I really love about this pattern, just like reading through it and going through there, like this is a pattern. No, I'm not done this. And yes, this is seeming like a little bit of a slog. And I do think the knit itself is maybe a little bit of a slog, but I think the pattern is worth it because there are like these very cute touches. The detail of the short rows at the bottom, which just, instead of having overlapping buttons at the very bottom, they just go like this. So you only have 3 buttons going up. There are also short rows inside of the button band so that it sits, you know, the curve here up, the curve here has short rows and at the back, so that it really just fits better, which I appreciate because I was wearing my Leaf today for some pictures, and as long as I pull it down, it's fine. But because that's just a button band that goes around something like this, and there's no shaping to it in the back, where these joins are could like pull up a little bit, you know, like artificially, because there's not any, like there should be a little less fabric right there while it does the turn. And that's what she does. And I think that's amazing. And I can't wait to get to that part eventually. This is, again, a knit with friends. We haven't had a friend Zoom call in a minute. So my Bay Area friends, if you're watching, let's get something set up. I'll put a note or something in our Instagram chat because that would be fun. Okay. Here is the only other project you know about, and I have 2 new cast-ons. Let me drop that ball of yarn. If you've been here for a couple of weeks at least, you know that I'm doing a little very, very casual knit along right now for the Instant Crush. This is a pattern by Joji Locatelli that came out last fall, and it's gorge. It is made with, her recommendation is a DK weight yarn. She does it with 2 strands of mohair. I decided, and like kind of a larger gauge, I decided to do it with 2 strands of Surrey because I do enjoy Surrey more than I enjoy mohair. What I will say about this is I also use mohair. Mohair doesn't bother me too much on my chest or like near my neck. It is more pokey because that's how it is. What I do like why I decided Surrey for this is purely because I could get it for relatively cheap from Erin. This is all Back Loop Yarn Co. yarn, but also because when you're holding it together, like it just creates a slightly denser fabric than mohair is going to. And for this, I thought that would be great. When you're holding it with a fingering, you do have to be aware that like that Surreys tend to dye lighter. Like it could affect the color and overall look of your thing, whereas I think mohair becomes like it's a barely there floofy accompaniment, right? Like it's a different vibe. For this, Surrey was the way to go. Here, I'll tell you the details and then I'll talk through where I got. So this is a size 6, which is a 47¼ inch finished circumference. It is recommended to have 0 inches of ease. This is the closest to my bust size. I am using 4mm needles for the body and 3mm needles for the ribbing, and that's what's recommended. I didn't really check my gauge before, like I didn't do a swatch. I checked it after and it's looking like pretty good. And like I said, this is Surrey lace from Backloop Yarn Co., which is 74% baby cereal alpaca, 26% silk, 328 yards for 50 grams. And I am using, as a reminder, the colors are Frost, the dark blue is Nordic, the yellow is Goldenrod, and the speckly is called Tia Beanie. And I am just like really, really enjoying it. Okay, I worked on this mostly on Sunday and only a little bit. Actually, you guys, I did pick it up a little bit Monday. And I did not have, here's where I was last week, this little stitch marker here. So just at the bottom of these little, I don't know, bloopies, doodads. So I did not do that much, like maybe 15 rows, maybe less, but I did split for sleeves. And I gotta tell you, those last like 5 rows, you know, from here of doing the yoke, whew, was so many stitches. Getting to the body was nice and it was totally fine. The only reason that I didn't pick it up again is because I got really jazzed about these other things I'm going to show you. And I'm doing this knit along with everybody, and there are lots of people that are still at the beginning, so I didn't need to like, I don't need to zoom through this. I'd like to make it with everybody, and as I'm seeing their progress, I'll keep picking it up. I probably will have this be like a once a week. Also, because it's charted and other things, like it's easier to just work on it for a couple of hours rather than like picking it up frequently. So that's probably what I'll do. What I would really love to do next week is just get a good, you know, couple inches of body done. And then I may go to sleeves. I'm not worried about yarn, so there's not like a real reason. It's just that like, I would like to work on a sleeve. I feel like that would be fun. I did talk to Charlotte about this, and Charlotte is already on her sleeve, because she is a little bit worried about yarn, and she is going to, like, she was like, oh yeah, and these are no decrease sleeves. So I mean, they're called bishop sleeves, I think, when there's no decreases and then just your cuff is smaller. And so there might be like a rapid decrease at your cuff, like a knit 2 together, knit 1 kind of situation, and then ribbing. But either way, like that's totally fine with me. But that is kind of a lot of stitches for my size. So it's like not going to be small. It's not. There's a nice thing about like sleeves that you know that you're going to like, you're doing less and less and less. And it's like, that's nice. But I think I'm gonna really like that fit though too for this, like just the intention of like how this is gonna be great. Like you can really see though, this is gonna fit me closely. I did try it on. It fits fine. It will grow a little bit. I have not had I've, you know, made other Surrey things. I did a single strand of Surrey for my ashling from Erin, and it did not grow exponentially. And so, I mean, I imagine I could, you know, zhuzh it a little bit to have it grow a small amount, but I don't want it to grow much. I want that close fit. So there's what this is where I am. I'm loving it. Like seriously, it's so enjoyable. The chat has been really fun. We've got people from like all different kinds of makers on there, like really experienced to new to sweaters or new to raglan, and that's kind of fun. So we can be both support group and just encouragers, and it's been really fun to see everybody's progress. And if you want to follow along, also I'm going to throw something into the chat to everybody, but like I got to get a couple more people posting pictures on their grid because our Instant Crush KAL hashtag is not working yet, because you have to have like 4 saved pictures before it will like actually be visible. Now there's 2 on my grid, and I would love for somebody else to post. I want to see everybody's like progress that they're shouting to the world. It's been so fun. Fun seeing pictures on the chat, but I feel like we need to share them. Okay, here's my first new cast on of the week. And so the much further than the other one, which I just cast on last night. That still only makes 4 live projects on my needles, which is not 5. And I will tell you the 5th one. Well, pseudo 5th one. So I really decided, I told you last week that I wanted to make a ripple crop top worsted in my Spain, one of my Spain yarns from the Explore Knits and Fibers Spain collection that was in like September. I think I got it in December. And this yarn is called Ballerina Wrap. It is Carlsbad worsted, which is 100% superwash merino. It's 218 yards for 100 grams. So it is a true worsted. I am obsessed. You guys, I could not put it down. Here's what it will look like. It's really, so it's a 3x3 rib, so it's like very, very stretchy. This is negative ease on me, so I think I'm making the size, let's keep it up here, 45 inches, so 2 inches of ease. I mean, her recommended is -1 to a +1. I'm using 4mm needles for the body. I did not really gauge swatch, and I'll tell you about that in a second. And this is my first, I did her as my designer highlight last week, Jessie May. This is my first Jessie May pattern. I really enjoyed the pattern. I like how it's written. Interestingly, this is one of the first patterns in a while that I've done that is written landscape. This doesn't matter, again, because I have it on my phone, but it was just an interesting thing. I was like, huh, it's been a while since I've done one with these like short 2 columns rather than long 2 columns. I don't have a preference. That doesn't bother me. I think she does, one of the nice things that she does is, like, I think it's really easy to follow the sizes are like all listed at the top, and there's like several times where like 2, extra small and 3XL have the same instruction for a piece, and I think it's easy to find what you're doing, and because she combines some of those things, it doesn't make it too long. I don't know, I liked it. I am done the front, so I did the whole body and I did the front, and now I'm ready to pick up the back. I did not put these on waist yarn. I probably will actually before I do the back, just so they're not like flooping around. Okay, so for gauge, well, I did 2 fun things. Number 1, I knit this inside out. So I was knitting along, and I decided just more comfortable for me to do this much body in combination ribbing. So I knit the knits regular, and I purl the purls through the back loop, and you have to do a setup row to do this. I've talked about this before. And so I did that. What that did is, like, on my first knit stitch, and this, if it was 1x1, it makes it look really even. With this 3x3, you're still, like, I was getting slightly less fabric on my last purl stitch and more on when it switched to the knit. Anyway, here's what was happening. Okay, will it show? Okay. Do you see the first row? This is the inside. So in my knit stitch, every single column, the first knit stitch, and again, I'm like knitting it this way, so it's the first one that I knit, was having this sort of pull, and I didn't really love that. And then I looked at the inside of the fabric when I was a few inches in, and it looks absolutely perfect. How good is that? That looks amazing. So I was like, okay, when I get to the first of the return, and then I was going to knit flat. So also that's cool because my flat knitting looks the same as the inside side. And I knew that would happen because I've done like 2x2 rib combination flat, and I that's how it worked out for me. So you'll see, like, this is the outside of me doing it flat, and I don't have any of that pull on either side on that knit row. So, or in the knit columns. So, yeah, when I got to the first row, instead of knitting the front, I mean, there was an even split of stitches and there is no front and back shaping or anything anywhere. I just flipped it inside out and started doing flat knitting. So that's great. When we get to the sleeves, I'll have to make a decision of if I want to do them like pick up right and then do one kind of DS and then just do them all inside out. That's probably what I'll do. Just to keep my stitches looking consistent. The other way I could do this is I could painfully go through every row and just pull that first stitch in the column, but like, I was not going to do that. That's way too much work for me. But yeah, so I really like it. For me, one thing I was just talking about this with the knit group, is one thing I don't completely love about V-necks that are not the Ozetta style of the Moonset tee that has like a flap that crosses over, is that you get this like pulled stitch sometimes, and you can see it's already happening. It's not even on yet. And this one is a pulled purl stitch, so I don't actually dislike it as much. And luckily I have an end to weave in here, so I could probably reinforce that and just pull over from this side again and just like make it a little tighter so it doesn't gap too much there. But what I will say is you do a really fun decrease, and I can show you on this side. And Jessie has this pattern. Jessie May has this video linked in her thing, but you do a decrease where it's just a single stitch decrease, but you split the stitch and you sort of knit it twice so that it looks like there's a decrease on each side. And it's just so that it's even, so that you are not having it lean either way, but it's a single stitch decrease, because that's how you make this odd number, since it's a 3x3 even. It was a new thing. I was like, oh, that's really fun. I love learning new things. So I think the gauge, let's talk about this really fast. I did not gauge swatch. I could have gone up a size needle and I probably would have liked that fabric just as much. I did like about 5 or 6 inches, and then I pulled it over myself and like put it on my waist and on my chest and thought, like, just to see if it was too much stretch. I like it. I think it's fine. She does sort of recommend, because ribbing is so elastic, it's hard to gauge swatch. So she puts either, she said, like, even says this, either stretched or unstretched, this is how many stitches. So if at your very maximum stretch you don't get gauge, that's when you should definitely size up. If you don't like how the fabric looks stretched out where you're getting gauge, then you should go up. If you want less, go down, right? So I think, like, because it's kind of an accordion, it was a really interesting way. I hadn't seen gauge recommendation written out like that before, but I've never done a fully ribbed top before, and I think that totally makes sense, because if you don't like at the maximum point that it's stretched like this, which is what it's going to look like on my chest, like right across my boobs, then I should have gauged up, like done size up. But like over my stomach, it'll be more like this, and that's okay. I don't mind either of them. I think the look of having a negative ease top, like, it's gonna have a little more pull there, and I'm fine with that. I am really enjoying it, and I think so when I do block this, I will block it probably spray bottle and steamer, and instead of fully submerging it, so I don't accidentally stretch it too much. That's her recommendation also. So I'll probably do that, spray, steam, and then pull it just a little bit so it sits relaxed, more like this, and then it will still stretch a little bit, but that it's like pretty even, it'll stretch evenly. That's the goal. Are you guys obsessed with this color though? Like, can we really enjoy that? Look at it. I am not helical knitting. I decided, because the color is not, it's a tonally speckly business. Like, it's not truly, I mean, it's, I don't even know what you call this. It's variegated, but like, it doesn't have like big color changes. I didn't think helical knitting was necessary. I cannot wait. This is going to be done next week. Like, I can't stop knitting it. I mean, it's so, I think I cast it on. I did cast it on Sunday. Actually, I talked about doing it at the end of the podcast, and I cast it on Sunday night, like one row. I worked on it a little bit Monday, but then this became my desk project this week, because I don't have to think about ribbing, like, for how much body. That's how I got it done so fast. I did both of these last night, and they went really quickly too. I imagine the back's going to obviously take longer, because it's just like flat back. There's not like really much shaping. And I don't think there's any pickup neckline. Like, I think that this is the neckline, which actually is why it looks so good, how she did the decreases. Oh, man. I'm a fan. I did get a couple Jessie Mae patterns during her birthday sale. That was one of them. I am obsessed. I'm going to make more for sure. I'm going to probably just grab more patterns as I want to make them, because I'm really enjoying this. And last whip, which again, I cast on last night. So I finished Mike's sweater yesterday. I think I got the yarn on like on Valentine's Day, but just like the week happened. I finished his sweater yesterday. I guess it's Saturday, so that was only Friday. I blocked it, and then I cast this on. And this is my next gift knit, you guys. How much do you love this color? Oh, it's amazing. Oh, it's so amazing. I can't even. Okay. As a reminder, I said I have 4 gift knits this year, and this is my second. So this, and they're not prioritized, other than I did want to get Mike's done first. I have a field day cardigan to make for my mom, which should probably be my next one, just because it's going to take the longest. And then I have one more for my other sister-in-law. So both my sister-in-laws are getting sweaters. This is for my sister-in-law, Caressa. She is Mike's younger brother's partner, and she is amazing. And this totally fits her bubbly personality. She's like a very like effervescent, lovely human. And this bright pink is, she told me she's just like loving the bright pink vibes. And I said, well, funny enough, a lot of people have bright pink yarn available right now. I messaged Erin because this was not on her website, but I know she had a neon pink color, and she did dye some up for me. So this is Back Loop Yarn Co. Basic DK, which is 100% superwash merino. Let me check. I think that's true. Yeah. And then 231 yards for 100 grams. Here it is in the skein. It is glowing. I mean, it really is glowing. Okay. So I wound like half of the yarn up last night, and I have a couple more skeins up there. I wound so much yarn last night. I'll talk about the rest in a second. I didn't bring it down with me because I didn't do anything with it yet. But look how fun it is. Okay, so this is the clay sweater by Ozetta. Who is Haley Smedley, Ozetta on Instagram and on her Ravelry store. And I am making the size large, which is like the 5th size. And it is 51.5 inches in actual garment bust. And the recommended ease is, it says 10 to 11 inches is the recommended ease. This is a little bit less than that on Caressa. Well, I guess no, this is about the same. Yeah, it's like 8 to 10 inches of ease on her. This is also the size I would make for myself, so this is great because I'm totally going to try it on and decide if I like it to make in different yarn for myself. Although I'm obsessed with this color, I would like totally twin with her. I think I would still do one shade less fluorescent for myself, though this shade is fine for my skin tone, and Caressa and I have pretty similar coloring. What do I have to say about this? So this is a drop shoulder textured knit. It has kind of like a funnely neck. It's not quite a turtleneck. It's like a high crew neck. And you knit this, and I mean, like, I am not in the middle of a row. I am in the middle of my short row shaping, and I just did not finish before baby went down for nap, and I had to seize the time to record. It is, but like, it's super fun. So you cast on the back, and I'm making, you know, like the sloped back, and then you're going to pick up, and it's actually really similarly done to the stick season. So the way that you have the back, because of the shaping, is like you're making an upside down U, and then you'll pick up the front side, and then like once I'm done the upside down U from all the back row, the short row shaping, it'll just be flat, so it'll look, you know, like this. And then you pick up intentionally, you know, missing the middle where it's more flat from where you added like all of the short rows. You will leave those stitches and just pick up the side, and that's where, but it'll sit more on the shoulder than the stick season did. And then that's where you pick up the front and you knit. Again, this is more drop shoulder, so it's wider than like the stick season was, not quite as wide. But similar-ish in construction. Similar weight too. So but the gauge is definitely looser. This is more forgiving gauge, I think. I did not gauge swatch. This is my gauge swatch. So I'm actually going to measure it tonight after this, and like see if I'm pretty close, and then continue on, or if I really do need to change anything, which this did not take me very long. So, I would not be heartbroken about that. I'd rather get it right-ish. I know this yarn, I've knit with this yarn before. I probably won't have tons of growth. With the shaping, or like with the texture, if you do get this completely wet and you like pulled, you would be able to like open up the garter a little bit. I don't think I want it to be too open, because you do them in sort of sections where you get like 3 bumps at once, and then you get 1. And I think that's what the pattern sort of will look like. I didn't look at it super closely. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Maybe even the garters are more erratic than that. Let me look at the pattern. No, that's kind of the intention. It's 3 then 1. Yeah. So that's just how the pattern is. It's like 3 bumps in one. Yeah, so I'm really loving it. I think it's gonna fly by. You know, the most boring part will be knitting flat for the until I join. But the nice thing about it is because there's these garter rows, sometimes you're knitting back and forth, and then sometimes you're knitting and purling. And I don't mind it. I think that's a good breakup. And I also don't think I will helical knit for this, since it's all the same lot. I got it all at the same time. The color looks very close to each other. It is like a semi-solid or a tonal. I mean a tonal. So there's like a little bit of variation. Just it's hand-dyed yarn. But I don't think there's going to be any huge spots that I would like need to helical knit for. And that seems like a lot more work than I want to put in. So here we go. Started on that. Okay, the next thing that I wound all of the balls of yarn for last night is my heirloom quilt cardigan. I got it in a bag. I got it ready. I got my needles ready. And yeah, I'm super stoked. I need to look more closely at the pattern because I am going to add an extra row. I already know I'm going to do that and have plenty of yarn to make any of the sizes I want, but I want to look a little more closely about like dimensions and other things to see, because you can do 3 different size squares, and they're all just a tiny bit different. And then it's the amount, the amount that you add. I think I'm going to do the middle size. There's only 3 sizes. But I just want to I need to do a little bit more math and then I will decide. And because I have a lot and I need to figure out how many squares I'm making, I'm going to just write out some notes on a piece of paper. So I can go through color combinations because that is who I am. I'm not going to be able to just pick it up and be like, oh, this one and this one, blah. I'm going to need to make sure there's some sort of even distribution. So, and part of it will just be playing with them once I do them, but that also it's going to be me making sure I'm using the colors with each other, especially because I'm not planning to do this all at once. I want to do it over time. I want to just have them prescribed so I know what I'm going to be doing when I pick it up. So you'll see the first squares of that next week, which I'm so excited for. Let's talk. I don't have a new spin. I didn't start a new one. I literally finished that yesterday and washed it. It dried really fast also. But, oh, books. Okay, y'all. Okay, so this week I finished 3 books. That was I don't know. Partly because there were 2 nights where Mike didn't feel great this week, and so he went to bed a little early, and so I just stayed up and knit, and I tend to listen instead of watching any TV, and so that's what I did, and I just got to power through a bunch of books. So I finished up Mortal Follies by Alexis Hall. It was good. It did move very fast. It's an interesting book. It's magic and Regency England, and also breaking of social norms and the role of duty, and yeah, it was really interesting. I liked a lot of the characters. I did feel the plot was, there were 2 peaks, and so the valley after the first big thing that happened was a little bit slow to me, and I was not gonna not finish it. It was not that bad, but it definitely did slump a little bit there in the middle. And then the end was crazy. So, and it moved super fast. So just pacing was a little bit strange. The characters were fine. I didn't end up really loving all of them, and part of that is also the narrator. So the narrator is Puck, and Puck doesn't love humans, so the way he talks about a lot of their feelings or how they're dealing with it is very tongue-in-cheek, which is fun, but also I think doesn't endear you to the characters quite as much as you would if it was from their perspective, either any of their perspectives. So okay, so then I had 2 books on my I finished 4 books this week, you guys. Okay, so the other one I finished next was Abby Jimenez. I read Part of Your World. This is a series I don't know if there's gonna be any more than 2. There's 2 out right now, and I think the second one was published in like 2020. Oh no, this year, last year, 2023. So there might be another one coming out. It doesn't say like a duology, so I would imagine there's the potential for more than the 2. So part of your world is about a oh gosh. Okay, so it's about a mid-30s lead female who has a lot of like familial pressure and like finding herself after a really terrible relationship and also finding love again. That's the synopsis. I loved the characters. I thought she did a brilliant job making you fall in love with like relatively complex characters, though I did feel like I thought it took the main character a little bit too long to get to like the conclusion of why the familiar pressure maybe shouldn't weigh on her as much as she was letting it. But I thought that like how she dealt with it was really great. I thought a lot of the pieces of the relationship building were like kind of believable, even though it was a little bit like insta love. And I loved the male lead. Ugh. I just wanted to like go be his best friend. I don't know. It was so fun. And I really like that these are like this one and the next one, like these both of the female characters, because I read the second one too. I got them at the same time. From the library are like mid-30s women who had failed relationships. And like I felt like the way that they carried their baggage, both of them was like believable. And also like being now a woman in my mid-30s, like these were just like super relatable, like women who have careers and how you think about certain things and having a family and like just like dating in the modern era. Like I thought they were really just really excellent. The second one was also, so it was actually the first one's like best friend. It's about her. And she also has just like a super, it's a totally different plot, even though also like a previously failed relationship, you know, that's why she's a woman in her 30s that isn't married anymore. But like really different backgrounds, like totally different, actually opposite backgrounds from the other girl, and like how some of that had weighed on her, and like just the difference of the characters. And like she the main guy is a guy who deals with a lot of social anxiety, like really crippling social anxiety. And he also comes from a failed relationship who it's a little dicier, this whole situation, but there is like a fake dating component in this. That's kind of how they start their relationship, and it's funny. There's a lot of funny parts of that book. That book like made me almost cry. I have not cried from a book in a while. Like romance books don't often make me, because I know there's gonna be a happy ending, but there have been a couple that have like really gotten me. Like the thing just feels so tragic and insurmountable that I cry. But yeah, that one, it almost got me. I just really loved the characters in both of them. I thought they were excellent modern romances. Okay, the fourth book that I read this week was my book club book, which actually book club is happening in 30 minutes, so I'm gonna have to wrap up my time and doing things. We have a baby play date, so I'm only gonna be able to pop on to book club. But as a reminder, Anna from Story and Stitches on Instagram is hosting like a book club, and the first book, and this is the first month to have it, and so I don't know how many people are going to join, but I would really love to. She's calling it a Yarnish book club, and this one, the story is about a yarn shop owner. Okay, so the book is called On Skein of Death, and it is a murder mystery. It is a kind of a cozy murder mystery, which means that there's like not very much romance, though usually like the main character has like some sort of love interest, though it's not like a romance novel. And there is a mystery, a death, and some solving of a case, and always the main character is not always, in this case, and like the Vampire Knitting Club, which is also a murder mystery, like cozy murder mystery, there's no like she should not be involved in the case and is involved in the case. In this particular book, it's a very small town, and like there are instances where she should not have gotten involved in the case, but it's also like it happened to, God, this is like tragic actually. I don't want to give too much away, but like essentially she's a new yarn shop owner in a small town who like is near DC, so like she does have people like come out and see it, and it's a really fun, you know, thing that she does post like divorce also to like do something for herself. And then she is trying to have a knit, like a big knitting star. I mean, it's like silly to say, but like think of like a Sari Nordland type, like someone who is very influential in the knitting community on social media, come out and do a speech, but something bad happens obviously, and somebody's murdered, and there is a case, and people have to solve it. And it was a little bit sad, but also there was like, you know, double crosses and other things, and, you know, a red herring, and it was done perfectly fine. I thought who I thought that was the murderer was from the very beginning, even though they take you on a twisty turns of evidence that creeps up. But it was pretty fun. It moved really fast, and there's a sweet side story of like her old high school flame who was also a divorcee but has a kid, and a little like kid and her mother matchmaking. They pair up. It's pretty funny actually. So there's no like real romance that happens, but it's the potential. I don't know if this is a series. It very well could be, because it's kind of set up to be. So that was the last one. I did also do a good amount of reading of Wheel of Time, and that was just because last night Mike decided to watch a movie that I would normally maybe have watched, but I just like really was not in the mood. And it was a really long movie, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna knit elsewhere in our house. We have 2 living rooms, so I just went to the other one, and I listened to Wheel of Time, which this one is called Fires of Heaven. It's the 5th one. Yeah, this is the 5th one. Wow, I'm powering through this. So many good things are happening though in the plot of Wheel of Time. Many things are being set up. That's kind of what's always happening, is like something's being set up, though like there were big things that had already happened, but I think there's a lot of intrigue happening with like the female characters right now, and like sort of them growing and learning and like getting more involved in like all the other, they're getting noticed by the baddies, and so there's a lot of like behind the scenes things happening. Okay, so that's my projects. I do want to show you guys, I said I was going to talk about this in the very beginning. I didn't do it in the very beginning, but the iCord. So here are some of my thoughts about the Cordsmith. Let me show it to you. I finally remembered to bring it down. This is the Cordsmith. Like I told you before, it's essentially, it's essentially 3 latch hooks, you know, somehow put into this little 3D printed. So Autumn, this is from Autumn Goodman, who is a size inclusive collective. She is selling these. You can get them by DMing her on Instagram at the size inclusive collective. She does like, I think maybe PayPal, or you can pay via Venmo. I don't know, one of those. And she will just like send you a shipping notification. It's a couple weeks to ship or less, because I think it depends on like, you know, what their timing is. They had a big influx of orders at one point, and so they have like more than one 3D printer going like all the time. But it's just her and her family doing this. She's doing new colors. The new colors are really fab, and I kind of like, I want them, but also like it's a silly thing. This is not something I'm going to need to replace, hopefully, like ever, or definitely not for a while. So like I don't need a second one. But what I will say is like, this was so convenient. I whipped up 54 inches of iCord in like 20 minutes, maybe less. I was doing it during work. I was like, I was in a meeting and like, you don't have to, I mean, you have to look a little bit, but like, I think I was off camera and I was just like sitting and listening. Oh, whoop. I just kicked that really hard. Hold on. I was just sitting and listening during this meeting. Oh, now I feel like I'm off center. Anyway, and so I was like whipping this up and then I was like, oh shoot, I should measure this. And it was so long. Okay. So again, it can only do a 3-stitch I-cord. I guess you could do you can't really even do a 2-stitch I-cord. It would only do a 3, not a 4, right? But I don't care. That was not meaningful in the scope of how much I-cord to do this. Like this is all I-cord edging, I-cord on the bottom. There was a video and I can link it below maybe, on Instagram there were 2 videos I like watched, just like quick tutorials. 3, let's call it 3. One was like a setup video. Some other person has done this, right? It was very easy to set up. I can show you how to do it right now. But then I watched one person who did like a neckline and she showed how she did it by like, she picked up an extra, like the bar between stitches and also did that as an I-cord. And I think that gives a little bit more stretch and like keeps it from, you know, like sucking it in, which is what I-cord can do. Because of the length of this and the way increases happened, etc. The bottom first. I did the bottom first. I did a bunch of I-cord and then I picked up and knit it off, like bound it off in I-cord. This I just picked up as I went, so I felt like I could make sure the tension stayed while I went down. For the bottom, I did like 20 stitches first with that picking up the extra bar, and I felt like just the way that the fabric was, etc., like it was like poofing it out a little bit, and I just didn't feel like I needed it. So I did do it without it. And then at the end, I kind of stretched it, and again, because I knew that I wouldn't need I don't need loosey-goosey fabric at the bottom because of the way that it sits like crossed over. I was okay just doing single stitches and it worked really well. It worked really well. Like I can't imagine doing an I-cord another way anymore. Like I just don't ever want to do it. I did like, let's see if you can see. Gosh, this is not an easy way to see here. If you look at my arm, the edge of my armpit, this is where I picked up and bound off. It is like not a noticeable lip. So again, I think I would do it just this way again. Here's how it works. I am just using, you know, actually let me grab some worsted because I think that'll be easier to see. So you make a long slip knot. And I'm not going to keep this, so this doesn't matter to me right now, like how long the tail is. But you keep your latches open and you slip in through the first one here and then under the second and in your slip knot. So your slip knot is sort of like, you can kind of see here, like the middle one is open. Okay, then you scooch it down, you tighten up your slip knot a little bit, and now you'll see it's sitting behind the latches. They're all open, and I'm going to just pull my yarn, and you can really go either direction. You just have to stay consistent. So I was doing it, pulling it across towards my body. That's just, it was easier for me. And then I'm going to just pull, and it's easiest to hold at the slip knot. I'm going to pull it over and pull it back. Okay. So let me get a little bit close again. I am going to slip the yarn all the way over. And again, the yarn that was working is under the latches, and I'm going to just pull it over. Okay. So you just continue doing that. And this is going to be, this is a little annoying because it's doing like the cinematic thing. You pull across, and then all the latches go up, and you pull them back. And you go all the way across, and then you just pull your latches, and then you pull back. I'm going to just do like, this is how quickly you can go. Obviously, when you're feeling really comfortable, when it's a little bit longer, it's easier. I did this with, you know, a light DK weight yarn. This is a true worsted yarn. This is some by Erin. Some scrap back loop yarn co. Yes, I do have more back loop yarn co in my life. Okay, this though, I think Autumn tested this up to like a bulky weight, not super bulky weight. This works great. And like you can see, that took me no time at all. And here is a beautiful 3-stitch I-cord. It looks gorgeous. At the end here, you just actually have to like scooch it up, scooch your tail up. And then how I dealt with this bottom is I just, you know, I threaded the needle and I pulled it over, and then like the end is kind of like seamless. Like it looks great if you just pull that through. Yeah, it was awesome. I am a huge fan. Like, again, not an affiliate for Autumn, but like if you want an I-cord making tool, this is great. One of the things I think is great about this is like, yeah, there's like the tulip thing that you can like do the weighted guy, but again, I've heard that really only works up to like sport weight. Even DK sometimes gets stuck and then like trashed in there. You have a lot of control over this. It's not super easy. Like it took me a little bit, if I like messed up a stitch, it took me a little bit of time to like figure out, like if I pulled it out, how do I get them all back on? That's not super easy because you have to go over the latches. Have a DPN near you that's of the similar size, so you can just pick them up and then like one by one use your hands to get them back on. That was the easiest way that I found to do it. And it makes it the size it is, right? So you can't change this. You can't make it fatter. You can't make it like looser. Like it just is. It's this size. I think you could make it a little bit looser if you like really intentionally made sure your yarn, like after each row, you just pull it up a little bit. Like I think you could probably effectively make it a slightly bigger I-cord that way by just like, you know, making sure you give yourself a little bit more yarn each row. I wasn't trying for anything with this, and I think it worked out great. So a huge fan. And I think, you know, the tulips also, like you make an I-cord and then you'd have to cut it and then you'd have to like pick up for this kind of top. This thing was freaking awesome. I think it would be really great. Like obviously look how long this top goes over here ×2. Like I don't even know how many inches of I-cord I did with this, but I did it so fast, like an hour. I think maybe less. This entire thing took me. If I was doing that I-cord by hand, I would have like an hour would have been like this. Like seriously, it would have taken me so long. So huge fan. I think the other girls in my knitting group are like not convinced that this thing is worth it. I'm all in. I thought it was amazing. Okay, like I said, I have a baby play date today. I did want to go through free pattern suggestions that you guys listed, but I'm gonna give it another week. Just more patterns. I actually got a couple comments today of new patterns I'm gonna add into the list. And I got some of you guys gave me really great accessories. I'll throw it out here in this one too. I'm gonna do a free patterns that are worth it on Ravelry roundup. I have not made them all. Some of them I have like read through, some of them I have made, some of them are from you guys. And you told me like why you like it. And so if you have more, you can add them here. You could add them to next week's or to last week's video, please. I will continue this list and continue growing it. But I'll do that next week, and I'll give you guys like, because I like something like this doesn't take a ton of time, but I am going through the patterns and also like making a couple of notes of like the features or like the skills you might need. And I'm not gonna like the list that I'm gonna tell you is not quite as long, and then I'll also either like get a Google sheet together or just see if I can get it all into a YouTube link. But I think, or maybe I'll just make a bundle. And I'll put a note from me in the bundle of what skills are needed or like why people liked it on Ravelry. So you guys can just grab them there. I don't know. But yeah, I think that so far people have listed some really great things. And some of them like I've never even heard of or I didn't see before. And so that's pretty fun. And reminder, I'm going to mostly do garments. If people gave me accessories, then I'm just going to include that in like the Ravelry bundle or the Google sheet, wherever I decide to do it. But I probably won't talk about them very much just because I want to focus on garments. That's already a lot to do. Yeah, so I mean, super productive week over here. I don't even know how. Like, I think having something that's like really easy to do at my desk, I just get a lot done. When I have to like purl at my desk, like, so something flat. Like, I haven't really even been doing, even though I'm joining the round, you think it would be a great desk project. I I do tell people that I knit. There are some meetings where I don't have to explain because it's like people I work with really closely. If I'm meeting with like a big group of people and I have to be on camera, I tend to like want to have something that's just in my lap where people don't have to see that I'm knitting. Because not that I don't mind explaining it, but I don't want to take the time in a meeting to explain it over and over again to everybody that I work with a ton of groups of people across our org. So I don't like, I'm often meeting with new people. And I'm also pretty new at the company, so that makes sense. But yeah, so having like that was why I got so much work done on that top, because I didn't have to look at it. It was in the round 3x3. Like there was literally nothing I had to look at. It was great. Yeah. Will I cast something else on? I'm missing socks. So my heirloom quilt cardigan is my long-term project. I have 4 things on the needles right now. The long-term project's not going to count. Not unless I have like several of them, and then as a bundle they will count. But like I'm kind of thinking I want to make something. I might want a socks project. I don't have anything travelable right now. And I got some of these. Really, the one that's calling to me right now is like this one, maybe this like really fun, this is called Release the Kraken, a self-striping sock. I think that's what I feel like I really want. And I'll try a different pattern than the one I used last time, which was a test knit from Maddie Mo, because somebody gave me a really good pattern suggestion, because I don't like an afterthought heel, or I didn't at least like the placement of mine, so it felt funny. So like, you know, it didn't work as great as I had wanted. I got some really great tips on how to accommodate for that in the future too, but I think it's called a shortbread heel or something. Anyway, this pattern, I may attempt that because that seems relatively mindless, but also so thrilling. I don't know, there's something that's like so fun about self-striping socks. Like, if you haven't done it yet, telling you, you'll never love a vanilla sock more than a self-striping sock. It's so fun. Okay, that's all for me, folks. Thanks for hanging out. You'll see some extra of my photo shoot photos pop up on Instagram this week. I'm gonna try to like I realized there's like a ton of stuff I made last year that just like never made it to Instagram. Not a ton, I guess, but like there are several things. And like just my tests, that was like mainly up there, and I'm not really doing tests right now. I still haven't signed up for one. Breaking news. This is now live. I have signed up for a test knit, and it is for Iris Makes. It is the Haley pullover, which is just the sweater version of her Haley slipover. Pictures are here. It's gorgeous. I have been waiting for this. I don't know if I said anything on the podcast, but I have been waiting and waiting for this. I knew it was coming up, and I am going to be joining. So if you are interested, please just click the link below. I will put the link to the test knit application. I don't know how long it's going to be open, so jump on in there if you're interested, and I will see you there. So I have the freedom and space to just do some more Instagram posts of things I love. And you know, if I get this t-shirt finished this week, I'm probably going to cast on another of my Make 12. I don't know what it will be yet, but it will probably be another t-shirt. So I'm kind of leaning Stripey Turtle Tank or my Moon Set. Those are the 2 that are calling out to me. And that's what I have to say about it. There's not, I'm not going to do a knit along for all of them, right? But I think, again, I've said this before, if there's anything in my Make 12 that you guys you want to knit with me, let me know. Even if it's just one person, I don't need to do a knit along for all of them, but I love to make with friends. So if you just want to be my buddy for something, you can totally be my buddy. I could do a chat with you. We could help each other, set a time goal. That's like how Ariel and I have like knit a couple of things together. And like, yeah, just other people in my knitting group, like just saying, hey, I'm going to make this. Oh, I want to make this too. Okay, let's make it together. And we set like artificial dates, and there's not really anything, like just fun for us. It's fun to take pictures together with your friends and your knits. all of the things. Oh, you know what? Somebody did ask me to do a knit along leading up to flock. That's a fabulous idea. I'm going to have a think on what pattern I want to use for that. And it'll be something we definitely have like 3 months. So flock happens mid-April. So we'll do something like a May-ish cast on, maybe early May, to give a little extra buffer of space so you have time to do it. And it may be a t-shirt because it's gonna be hot. We are gonna be in an air-conditioned spot this year. Last year was in an airplane hangar. So it was open air and it did not get too hot in the space. It was a nice weekend for it, but August is the warmest time here, and warm for us is like 85 degrees. But it's gonna be at the convention center like event space, and that's downtown, and it's air conditioned. So we could do a sweater, but I think if you're gonna go outside, I feel like a t-shirt would be the game. I probably will make it one of my Make 12, and I know which one I think I'm gonna make it, but I'm gonna think about it and just see if there's something else, and maybe I'll do a little poll on Instagram or something, or I'll do a poll here once I think about it a little bit more. But yeah, so fun chatting with you guys. I hope that you guys made something really fun while you were sitting here, or made really good progress on something. That's why I love knitting podcasts, is I get like, you know, a dedicated amount of time to work on something, and doing yarn, well, hearing about yarn is the best kind of combo. Let me know what you were working on, and yeah, continue the conversation. Reach out to me on Instagram if you have any questions about anything that I'm making, or that is on my Make 12, or any patterns that I've talked about, any of the yarn dyers I use. Spoiler alert, I did buy yarn from Ruby and Roses. You'll see that in several weeks. I think the sale closes tomorrow, so that's the 18th. So if you didn't grab yours yet, go do it. That yarn is amazing, and I just couldn't help myself. And that's all. Now I'm really done. I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.